Again, welcome back to Java programming language. This lectures cover the Java selection statements, also known as decision control structures. Our main objective is to learn how to declare Boolean variables and also how to write a Boolean expressions using relational operators. We're also going to learn how to implement selection control using one-way if statements, two-way if statements, nested if, and also multi-way if statements. So again, we start with the Boolean type in Java language. In Java, we can declare variable as a data type Boolean. So for example, here we have a variable named B, and the data type is Boolean. Now here we are saying if 1 is greater than 2. Again, the greater sign is called the relational operator. So here we have a condition here. If the condition is true, then we are going to assign true to variable B. If the condition is false, we are going to assign false to variable B. As we know, again, one equal sign means assignment operator. So what we are doing here with the relational operator greater than is testing a condition if 1 is greater than 2. In this case, the answer will be false. So we are going to assign false to variable B because variable B data type is Boolean. And here we say often in a program, we need to compare two values, such as whether I is greater than J. Here we are assuming there's a value in I variable and also there's a value in J variable. So we can compare if I value is greater than J. We will get true if the condition is true. And if J is greater than I, then we are going to get false. Now, Java provides 6 relational operators, also called the comparison operators, to again develop the conditions. So these are the relational operators. We have the less than or equal. Now, these two symbols, there's no space between, so they are together. We also have greater than or equal. Now, in Java, one equal sign means assignment operator. As we said here, we assign the condition here to variable B. So the possible outcome from this condition will be either true or false. Then we assign to variable B. Now, if we want to check the value in any variable, we use the equal sign if we want to check if it's equal to a specific value. So for example, here, we also have not equal, which is the exclamation point and equal or assignment operator. No space between. So for example, we have a radius, a variable named radius, and the value is 5. So now we are using the relational operators to check if 5 is less than 0, the result will be false. If 5 is less than or equal to 0, the result also is false. If 5 is greater than 0, that's true. Is 5 greater than or equal to 0, that's also true. Is 5 equal to 0, that's false. Is 5 not equal to 0, that's true. So these are the 6 relational operators we are going to use mostly throughout our program if we want to, again, test a condition. Next is one-way if statements, in Java one-way if statements. And this is the syntax. We use the keyword if. The Boolean expression here will be a condition that we use the relational operators. Then next we have a statement. So the Boolean expression here, if the condition is true, we are going to execute the statement. If the condition is false, we are going to skip the statement. So we can see the logical or the data flow first. We see the diamond sign for decision Boolean expression. If it's true, we execute the statement. If it's false, we skip the statement. Now, this is a very good example here. We have a condition say if the radius value is greater than or equal to 0, then we can find the area of the circle and we can print our result. The reason why, because the radius of a circle can never be a negative value. So you have to be greater than or equal to 0. Now, if we enter a negative value, then we are not going to find the area. We skip it. So that is the our diagram here. So we have radius is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, if it's true, then we find the area, then we print the result. If it's false, then we skip the statements. So let's take a note here. In Java, when we write our condition, we have to open and close a parenthesis, which is here. So if I greater than 0, the condition have to be in the parenthesis. Next also is that if we have only one statement, then we don't need the curly brace. So for example, here, if I is greater than 0, I is positive. That's okay. Now, if you have more than one statement, then we need this curly brace. We normally say the compound statement. We need a curly brace. Now, let's see an example here. Our program, what this program is going to do is that it's going to ask the user to enter a value. Then we are going to check if the value is divisible by 5 and also divisible by 2. So again, the first thing we do is we import our scanner class from utility package because we need to get an input from a user. So we have our main class and the name is simple if demo. Then we have our main method. Next, we create our scanner input object. So we have scanner input equal to new scanner system.in. System.in means we are going to use our keyboard. So next, we ask the user to enter an integer, which is a whole number. Then we use our scanner object input dot next int. The reason why we are using next int method because the input we are getting is an integer. So we declare variable name number, the data type is int. So user will enter the value into the variable number. Now we are going to use this is what we are learning now, one-way if statement. So first we have a condition saying that if the number modulus 5 is equal to 0, so we are using the relational operator. Here we want to say that we know modulus operator means if we divide number by 5, a remainder. So if the remainder is 0, it means the value is divisible by 5, so it's I5. For example, 10 modulus 5 will give me 0 because 10 divided by 5 is 2, remainder 0. Here also the same thing, we say if the number modulus 2 equal to 0, we are checking if the number is even number because anytime we divide an even number by 2, the remainder will be 0. Then we print if even. So what we learn now is using one-way if statement. We only have an option for true condition. If the condition is false, we skip the statement. So next is the two-way if statement. Now here we have a condition if Boolean expression. If the expression is true, then we are going to print the statement for the true case. If the condition is false, then we are going to print the else section, else statement for the false case. So that's why we call this the two-way if statement. When the condition is true, we're going to execute some statement. When the condition is false also, we're going to do different thing. So the diagram here shows our input. Let's say we get an input and we check the input with the Boolean expression. If the condition is true, then we are going to print the statement for the true case on the left. If the condition is false, then we do the statement for the false case on the right. So this is a good example here. Previously, we have if radius is greater than or equal to 0, find the area and print the results. That's it. Now we have the else section. So this means if the radius greater than or equal to 0 is false, which means it's a negative value, then we are going to tell the user you enter a negative input. If we like, we can put a scanner object here and ask the user to enter the value again. Next is the multiple alternative if statement. Here we have more than 2 conditions. So we say if score, here we are testing a grade. So the possible grade letter will be A, B, C, D, F. So if our score is greater than or equal to 90, we get A. Else, if it's greater than or equal to 80, we get B. Else, if it's greater than or equal to 70, we get C. Else, if it's greater than or equal to 60, we get B. Then the last section is only else. So this is more or less like a default. If all the conditions are false, the last condition will always execute. Now here we are using if, else, if. So which means if one condition is true, the rest of this condition, we are going to skip it. We cannot test more than one condition. If that condition, if one condition is true, that's it. Now, if we want to solve a problem whereby we want to test all the conditions, even if the first condition is true, we still want to test the rest, then we have to use the multiple if statement. So we can say if score is greater than or equal to 90, print A. If score is greater than or equal to 80, print B. If score is greater than or equal to 70, print C. That's another option. In this case, if the first condition is true, we're still going to test the second condition, the third condition until there. So we can see the diagram here, the multi-way if-else statement. As we said, if any of the condition is true, we don't test the rest no more. So we can see here, if my score is greater than or equal to 90, it's true, I print A, then I come out of the conditions. If it's false, then I'll go to B. If B is false, I'll go to C. If C is true, I'll print grade is C, then I will not test D and F. So this is the trace for the multiple if-else. So here, let's assume we have a score of 70, the score. Now it's okay, 70 greater than or equal to 90, no. Condition is false, so we check the next condition. Is 70 greater than or equal to 80? No. Is 70 greater than or equal to 70? Yes. So now we're going to print C. Then we skip the rest of the conditions. Here we should just take a few notes here. Now in Java, indentation is very important. In Python, indentation is very important. But in Java, we normally use parentheses, curly brace. So indentation is not really important. But for example, on my right is better with correct indentation for readability to read. So for example, here I have a if I is greater than J, and also if I is greater than K, we print A, else we print B. You can see where the else is. Maybe the best way to read it would be this form. So this means if I is greater than J is true, we are going to check if I is greater than K. If it's greater than K is true, then we print A. But if it's false, then we print B. But if I is greater than J is false, we don't print anything. So this example here, we say I is 1, J is 2, K is 3. Now we say if I is greater than J, which means is 1 greater than 2? No. So in this case, we will not go to the I greater than K. Now the curly brace here tells us that B will be printing because we come out, if the condition is false, we will go to the else section. So the statement B will be printing. Now, sometimes we should be careful with the semicolon when we have our condition. This is wrong. This is not a syntax error, but Java will consider this as a statement. We know in Java, semicolon is, we use it to end a statement. Like example here, area equal to radius times per, semicolon. So if we have semicolon after condition, Java will treat it as a statement, which means we are not going to get the right result. Another option here, we have two statements here, they are all the same. Here we are checking a value if it's an even number. If it's even number, we are going to assign true to the variable even. So we can write it in this form, say if number modulus 2 equal to 0, then we assign true to even, else we assign false to even. Or we may write it in one line, we declare variable even as a Boolean type, then we say number modulus 2 equal to 0. If the condition is true, we are going to assign true to even variable. If the condition is false, we are going to assign false to the even variable. So that will be the conclusion for these lectures. Again, in our next lectures, we're going to solve two problems using, again, selection statements in the lab. Okay. Thank you.